Story 1. The house at the end of the lane. Ethan had been delivering food for barely 2 weeks, but he was already tired of the late night shifts. The app didn't care if it was past midnight, if the streets were empty, or if his nerves were stretched thin. Orders kept coming, and he kept accepting them. Rent was due soon, and a few extra runs could make the difference between keeping his small apartment or falling behind again. So when his phone buzzed with another order close to 1 a.m., he sighed but accepted. The address was on the far side of town, listed simply as 129 Ashwick Lane. The payout was decent. Too decent, he thought, but he didn't let himself question it. His GPS glitched almost immediately. The blue line jerked across the screen, recalculating every few seconds. He gritted his teeth and followed it anyway, turning onto smaller and smaller roads. Streetlights grew scarce, and soon the only light was the dull glow of his headlights cutting across cracked asphalt. The road narrowed into a single lane, framed by skeletal trees that clawed at the sky. He muttered under his breath, trying to steady the nervous flutter in his chest. It's just an address. People live everywhere. Deliver, drop, drive. After 20 minutes of winding turns, the house finally appeared. A slouched, weather-beaten thing at the very end of the lane. Its windows were boarded, its porch sagged, and the front door leaned at an angle, as if it barely clung to its hinges. No lights were on. Ethan checked the receipt again. 129 Ashwick Lane. Correct. He hesitated, staring at the dark shape. Maybe it's abandoned, he thought. But if so, who placed the order? He got out, clutching the warm bag of food like a shield. The night was painfully quiet. No crickets, no breeze, nothing but his own breathing. He walked to the porch and knocked gently. For a long moment, nothing. Then, the door creaked open a crack. A child's face appeared in the gap. A boy, no older than 9, pale as paper with deep circles under his eyes. He looked up at Ethan with a blank expression. Delivery, Ethan said, forcing cheer into his voice. Got your food right here. The boy's voice was flat. You have to come inside. My parents will pay you. Ethan frowned. I can just leave it here at the door. No, the boy said firmly. Inside. They'll be here soon. Ethan's instincts screamed to turn around, but the boy's eyes held him. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, but his feet still crossed the threshold. The inside smelled of mold and something sour, like meat left too long in the sun. The wallpaper was peeling, exposing black-streaked wood beneath. A single bulb swung weakly in the ceiling, buzzing, its light too dim to chase the shadows. The boy shuffled down the hall. Wait in the living room, he said. Ethan hesitated at the entryway. He wanted to bolt, but leaving meant no payment and maybe a complaint to the app. Just a few minutes, he told himself. Then I'm gone. The living room was worse. Furniture sat under white sheets, dusty and torn. Family portraits lined the walls, their glass cracked, faces faded beyond recognition. Ethan's skin prickled as he noticed all the portraits had the same child in them always, standing slightly apart from the others. Always unspeaking whispers drifted from upstairs. He froze. It sounded like two people murmuring, too faint to make out words. The boy had vanished. Ethan placed the bag of food on a covered table and called out, "Hello, your order's here." No answer, only the steady whispering, louder now, sliding down the staircase like oil. His phone buzzed. He snatched it up, relieved maybe it was the customer messaging, but the screen showed a new notification from the app. Do not enter the house. His blood went cold. The whispering stopped. Something creaked above him, heavy footsteps pacing back and forth. Then the sound of multiple feet, moving toward the stairs. Ethan grabbed the food bag like it could somehow help, and backed toward the door, his pulse hammered in his ears. The bulb flickered, then burst, plunging the house into darkness. Time to leave, he whispered to himself, fumbling for the exit. But the front door wouldn't open. He pulled hard, it felt nailed shut. He spun around, heart jackhammering. A figure stood at the foot of the stairs, barely visible in the gloom. It was the boy again, though something about him had changed. His head tilted at an unnatural angle, his grin too wide, stretching ear to ear. You weren't supposed to see them, the boy hissed. His voice sounded older now, layered, like more than one person speaking at once. Shadows bled down the staircase behind him, shapes twisting into vague, human forms. Their whispers filled the house, voices rising in a chorus that scraped at Ethan's skull. He bolted for the back door, kicking it open with all his strength. The night air hit him like salvation, and he sprinted for his car without looking back. The engine roared to life on the first try. He slammed the gas pedal, tires spitting gravel as he tore down the lane. Only when the house was a shrinking silhouette in his rearview mirror did he dare breathe. At the first lit gas station he saw, he pulled over, hands shaking violently. He checked the app again. The order had vanished. No record of it, no receipt, no address, like it had never been there. The only thing left was a message at the bottom of his completed deliveries. "Thank you for coming. See you again soon." Ethan deleted the app that night. He never delivered again. But sometimes, when he drives near the edge of town, his GPS glitches, and the map tries to lead him back down Ashwick Lane. Story 2. The customer who never blinked. The order came in just after midnight. A large meal from an upscale steakhouse. Kevin was thrilled. Orders from that place usually meant big tips. And after 3 grueling hours of cheap fast food deliveries, he needed one good payout to make the night worth it. The address was in the center of the city, a luxury high-rise tower with polished glass walls and gold-lit balconies. As Kevin pulled up, he thought, finally, an easy one. Secure building, well-dressed people, no lurking shadows in sketchy alleys. He parked, grabbed the hefty bag of food, and walked through the rotating glass doors into a pristine lobby. The security guard barely looked up as Kevin checked the order details. Apartment 604. The elevator ride was smooth, silent, cushioned by marble walls. When the doors slid open on the 6th floor, he stepped into a hallway lined with identical doors. Most were shut tight. Only one was ajar. 604. Kevin's eyebrows rose. Most customers made him knock, or buzzed him in. But this guy, already waiting. He approached and lifted the bag. "Food delivery," he called. The door opened fully. A man stood there, tall and sharply dressed in a dark suit. His skin was unnaturally pale, almost translucent. His lips were thin, colorless, his eyes fixed on Kevin with an intensity that made his stomach turn. And he did not blink, not once. "Come in," the man said, voice smooth but oddly flat. "I've been expecting you." Kevin forced a polite smile. Sure, here's your order. You can take the bag. The man didn't move to grab it. He simply stared, head cocked slightly to one side, as if studying him. "Do you enjoy being alive?" the man asked suddenly. Kevin laughed nervously. Yeah, I guess, don't we all?" The man's mouth twitched into something that might have been a smile, but his eyes, still unblinking, remained cold, empty. "Not everyone. Some people cling to it like a burden." "You seem different." Kevin shifted uneasily, wishing he'd kept the engine running downstairs. "So, should I set the food down somewhere?" "Yes, inside." The man stepped back, gesturing. Kevin hesitated. He wasn't supposed to enter people's homes. It was against company policy, but he'd done it before for tips. And something about this guy suggested he wouldn't accept the bag at the door. Against his better judgment, Kevin stepped inside. The apartment was spotless. Too spotless. No shoes by the door, no dishes in the sink, no clutter of any kind. The walls were bare, the furniture minimal. The air felt still, sterile, as though no one really lived there. "On the table," the man said. Kevin set the bag on a glass dining table that gleamed as if freshly polished. He noticed several other bags stacked in a corner, different restaurants, all unopened, food long since spoiled. A sour odor hung faintly in the air. Hey," Kevin said, trying to sound casual. "Did you forget about those?" The man tilted his head, his gaze never leaving Kevin's face. "I prefer to watch them decay. The process interests me." Kevin swallowed hard. His skin crawled. The man took a step closer. Still, he hadn't blinked. His pupils seemed too wide, swallowing nearly all the color from his eyes. "Stay for a meal," he said. "Company would be pleasant." Kevin forced a laugh. "Sorry, can't. Gotta finish my shift. Lots of orders waiting." The man's lips twitched again. "No," he said softly. "You should stay." The words weren't a suggestion. They pressed into Kevin's mind like weight, making his chest tighten. He stumbled back a step. "I really can't," he said, voice trembling. The man moved suddenly fast, too fast. One moment he was across the room, the next he stood inches away, his face so close Kevin could see faint blue veins under his skin. His eyes, huge and unblinking, bore into him. Kevin's throat closed. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The man whispered, voice low and rasping now. "You're not like the others. I can taste it in your fear." Kevin shoved past him with a burst of adrenaline, nearly tripping over a chair. He bolted for the door, fumbling with the handle. Behind him, the man laughed softly. It was a hollow, broken sound. Kevin yanked the door open and sprinted into the hallway, slamming it shut behind him. His pulse thundered in his ears as he darted into the elevator and jabbed the button for the lobby. As the doors closed, he risked a glance back. The man stood at the end of the hallway, perfectly still, head tilted again, eyes locked on Kevin, unblinking. The elevator descended agonizingly slow. When it opened to the lobby, Kevin stumbled out, gasping. The security guard glanced at him briefly, unimpressed, before returning to his phone. Kevin rushed outside to his car. He threw the delivery bag receipt onto the passenger seat and started the engine. He didn't breathe easy until the tower was a shrinking shape in his rearview mirror. When he finally dared check his phone, his stomach lurched. The order wasn't listed. No record of the delivery, no receipt, no address, nothing, except for one thing. At the bottom of his completed orders, a new message glowed. "You'll come back. You belong here now." Kevin hurled the phone into the passenger seat and gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened. But even as he drove home, he couldn't shake the image of those eyes unblinking, endless, staring at him still. Story 3. The basement door. Marcus had been delivering food long enough to know when an order felt off. Usually it was in the notes. Bizarre instructions like, knock 3 times and leave it on the second step, or call me before you pull in Don T, use the doorbell. Most of the time it was harmless, but the instructions on this order made his skin crawl. Leave food inside the basement. Door will be open. He reread it twice, hoping he'd misunderstood. Nope, that's exactly what it said. Marcus sat in his car outside the address, staring at the dark 2-story house. Every window was black, no sign of life inside. The porch light flickered weakly, casting the kind of glow that made shadows seem deeper instead of brighter. He told himself it was just another eccentric customer. Probably someone antisocial who didn't want to deal with face-to-face interaction. Weird, sure, but not dangerous. And yet, the bag of hot food sat on the passenger seat. It smelled heavy in the air. He sighed, grabbed it, and stepped into the cold night. The house was silent as he climbed the steps. The wood groaned under his feet. He glanced at the front door, but the instructions had been clear. Basement. He found the side entrance half hidden by weeds. The paint was peeling, and the wooden door hung slightly open, just as promised. A damp, moldy smell leaked out. Marcus hesitated, then pushed the door with his foot. It creaked inward, revealing a set of wooden stairs leading into darkness. A thin line of light cut across the bottom, like a single bulb was on somewhere below. "Hello," Marcus called, his voice too loud in the still air. Delivery. Silence. He placed the bag on the top step, already turning to leave. That was good enough. But before he could retreat, something dragged the bag down the stairs. Not rolled, not slid, dragged. Marcus froze. His brain scrambled for explanations. Maybe the bag just tipped over. Maybe gravity pulled it down, but the sound had been unmistakable. The scrape of paper across wood, pulled by unseen hands. Then he heard it, a whisper, soft, slithering, and unmistakably his name, Marcus. His blood turned cold. He hadn't given a name. The app never showed that information. He backed away, eyes locked on the dark stairwell. His body screamed at him to run, but his legs felt cemented. Something moved in the shadows below. A faint shuffle, like bare feet on concrete. Marcus bolted. He spun, racing for his car. His sneakers slapped the pavement as he gasped for air. He didn't stop until he reached the driver's seat and slammed the door. His key trembled in the ignition. The engine coughed, sputtered, then refused to start. He cursed, twisting it again, nothing. The night around him felt heavier now, pressing close. From the side of the house, he heard the basement door slam shut, and then, knocking, not on the house, on his trunk. Slow, deliberate knocks. Marcus's chest constricted. He whipped around, but the rear window showed nothing but his own wide-eyed reflection. The knocking grew louder, urgent, desperate. Marcus yanked out his phone. He opened the delivery app, intending to cancel the order, report the customer, something, anything, but the order wasn't there. It had vanished. In its place was a message. "Thank you for the meal. See you again soon." The knocking stopped. Silence returned, thick and suffocating. Marcus sat rigid, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Every nerve screamed that he wasn't alone, that something waited, crouched low, inches away. Finally, his engine sputtered to life. Relief surged through him. He threw the car into reverse, tires screeching as he tore down the street. He didn't look back. Couldn't, but miles later, when he dared glance at his rearview mirror, his stomach lurched. The basement door bag sat on the back seat, perfectly upright, steam still curling from the food inside. Marcus swerved, nearly crashing, heart pounding against his ribs. He pulled over, flung open the back door, and hurled the bag into the ditch. He didn't care about the lost order, the missing tip, the angry customer. He just wanted distance. But when he climbed back behind the wheel, his phone buzzed. A new order request. Same house, same basement. He declined instantly, shoving the phone face down, but it buzzed again. Same order, decline, buzz, decline, buzz. Over and over, his phone lit up with the same address. His throat tightened as he realized the app wouldn't let him quit, wouldn't let him refuse. Finally, the screen froze. One message burned across it in bright red letters. You belong to the basement now. Marcus hurled the phone out the window and drove until his gas tank hit empty. He never went back to food delivery. He never spoke about that night. But sometimes, in the dead hours of morning, he swears he still hears it faint knocks against his trunk. And always the whisper, curling through the dark. Marcus. Story 4. The endless hallway. Jared had been on the job long enough to know that apartment deliveries were always a gamble. Sometimes they were quick. Hand off the food, snag a tip, and back to the car in minutes. Other times though, they turned into a nightmare of buzzing broken intercoms, locked lobby doors, or climbing flights of stairs when elevators decided not to work. But tonight's order was simple on paper. Apartment 9B, Greymore Towers. He parked in front of the building around midnight. Greymore was old, its bricks blackened with age. The kind of place you could tell had been nice once, but was now clinging to decay. The front lobby smelt faintly of mildew, but the doors were unlocked, and the directory was surprisingly easy to read. 9B, 9th floor. Jared took the elevator. It rattled slightly as it climbed, but the doors opened smoothly on floor 9. The hallway stretched before him, dimly lit by buzzing fluorescent lights. The carpet was threadbare, patterned with swirls worn flat by decades of footsteps. He found the door numbers quickly, 9A, then 9C, but number 9B. He frowned, walking farther down. 9D, 9E, still number 9B. His phone buzzed. A notification from the app. Proceed to apartment 9B. No kidding, he muttered. He turned around, walking back the way he came. Maybe he'd missed it, but the hallway seemed longer now, doors multiplying endlessly. He checked the walls. Every door bore the same number. 9A. His throat tightened. He spun slowly, looking down the stretch of hallway. Every door identical, every brass number reading the same, 9A. Okay, glitchy old building, Jared muttered, his voice too loud in the silence. He pulled out his phone, refreshing the map. The screen showed his location as a blue dot stuck in place. No movement registered even when he walked. He decided to head back to the elevator. He retraced his steps, counting doors as he passed. The carpet swirls seemed to repeat in the same pattern. The hum of the lights droned endlessly. But when he reached where the elevator should have been, it wasn't there. It's just more hallway, stretching out forever. His pulse quickened. He checked his phone again. The app displayed a new message. Keep walking. Almost there. Jared's hands grew clammy. He hadn't typed anything. He hadn't touched the screen. Still, he walked. His footsteps echoed strangely, louder than they should have been. He passed more doors, each one reading 9A. He tried one at random. The knob turned dizzily, but inside was only more hallway. No apartment, no furniture, just another stretch of identical corridor. He slammed it shut, heart hammering. The air grew heavier, as though pressing against his chest. He could hear something faint now, a sound beneath the hum of the lights. Footsteps, soft, slow, keeping pace behind him. He whipped around. The hallway was empty. Hello, his voice cracked. No answer, only the footsteps resuming the moment he turned forward again. He began to jog, panic rising. The hallway stretched endlessly. His breaths grew ragged, his arms trembling as he clutched the delivery bag like it might anchor him to reality. Finally, he spotted it, a door different from the rest. Instead of brass numbers, this one bore a crude handwritten sign, 9B. Relief flooded him. He ran to it, shoved the bag against the door, and knocked hard. The door creaked open on its own. Orders here, Jared said quickly, setting the bag down just inside. Have a good night. But as he turned to leave, the door slammed shut behind him. The footsteps stopped. And then, silence. Jared's phone buzzed. His hand shook as he lifted it. The screen glowed with a new message from the app. Delivery complete. You belong here now. He dropped the phone, his breath ragged. The hallway around him seemed to tilt, the lights flickering violently. Every door began to open, one by one, in perfect sequence. Hinges groaned, revealing only black voids beyond each frame. From the darkness inside, whispers spilled out. Dozens of voices, layered and overlapping, calling his name, Jared. He stumbled backward, slamming into the wall. His vision blurred as the corridor stretched farther and farther, walls pulling away into infinity. The whispers grew louder, crawling into his skull. In blind panic, he bolted into one of the black doorways. Anything was better than the endless hallway. Darkness swallowed him. When the lights flickered back on, the hallway was empty. The bag of food sat neatly in front of the closed door marked 9B, and Jared's name no longer appeared on the delivery app's driver list. Story 5. The last delivery rain hammered against Marcus's windshield, the wipers squealing as they fought to keep the glass clear. He was soaked in exhaustion, the kind that weighed on his eyelids and stiffened his muscles. It was his last shift before quitting. After months of late nights, rude customers, and endless driving, he was finally done. But one last order came through. Always one last order. He almost ignored it, but the payout was high, higher than usual, and something about ending the night with a decent tip felt right. He accepted with a sigh. The address, 47 Willow Lane. The GPS guided him through streets he'd never driven before. Old neighborhoods, their houses leaning with age, porches sagging, windows glowing faintly behind curtains. Willow Lane was quieter than the rest, and darker. Number 47 sat at the end, a weathered two-story home, its shutters rattling in the storm. No lights shone inside. Still, Marcus grabbed the bag of food and ran through the rain, his shoes splashing in puddles as thunder cracked overhead. He knocked. The door opened slowly, revealing an elderly woman. She was small, her back slightly hunched, but her eyes gleamed with warmth. She smiled, though her lips trembled as if it pained her to do so. "Thank you, dear," she said, voice soft and wavering. "You came all this way in this dreadful storm." Marcus handed her the bag. "No problem, ma'am. Stay dry, okay?" She nodded, reaching into her pocket. Her hand emerged with a few folded bills, pressed into his palm with surprising strength. Her skin was ice cold. "You've been so kind," she whispered. "Stay safe on the roads tonight. It's a dangerous night for traveling." Marcus smiled weakly, pocketed the cash, and hurried back to his car. He didn't want to linger in the storm. The engine started with a comforting rumble, and he drove off. But when he glanced at the seat beside him, the cash was gone. He checked his pocket. Empty. His stomach flipped. He pulled over beneath a flickering street lamp, scanning the floor, the seats. Everywhere. Nothing. The bills had vanished as though they'd never been there. Shaken, he chalked it up to fatigue. He just needed to finish his shift, go home, and sleep. At dawn, Marcus sat at his kitchen table, sipping bitter coffee and flipping through the morning paper. That's when he froze. Staring up at him from the obituary page was a photograph. The elderly woman, her name was Evelyn Cartwright. According to the article, she had passed away peacefully 3 days earlier. Marcus's hands trembled. The paper slipped from his grasp and fluttered to the floor. He tried to rationalize. Maybe it was her twin. Maybe he was just mistaken, but deep down, he knew the truth. He had delivered food to someone who shouldn't exist. The unease gnawed at him all day. Finally, unable to bear it, he drove back to Willow Lane. The house looked different in daylight. The windows were boarded, the paint peeling, the front steps sagging with rot. It was abandoned, empty, the kind of place kids might dare each other to break into. Marcus's chest tightened. He backed away, eager to leave, but a neighbor's voice stopped him. "You're looking for someone?" an old man asked from his porch across the street. Marcus hesitated. "I delivered food here last night. For an old lady, Evelyn." The man's eyes darkened. "That house has been empty for years. Evelyn Cartwright's been gone a long time. Folks around here say she shows up on stormy nights. Always so polite, always pays in cash. But no one ever keeps the money." Marcus's skin prickled. He muttered a shaky thanks and hurried back to his car. That night he deleted the delivery app. He wanted no part of it anymore. He planned to never take another order again. But as the storm clouds gathered once more, his phone buzzed on the counter. The app icon glowed, though he'd already removed it. A new order blinked on the screen, 47 Willow Lane. Marcus's breath hitched. He didn't touch the phone, didn't accept, but the order confirmed itself. The app displayed a final message. "Your last delivery awaits." The lights in his apartment flickered. Thunder rumbled, shaking the windows, and from outside, above the storm's roar, he heard a knock at his door. Slow, patient, familiar. Marcus froze, heart thundering in his chest. The knock came again, louder this time. His phone buzzed one last time. On the screen was Evelyn's smiling face, her voice whispering through the speaker as if she was standing right behind him. "Stay safe on the roads tonight, dear." The knocking never stopped.